Welcome to Across Borders. This is a video podcast where we talk about board games, the ones that we love, the ones that we like, the ones that we play. And I am one of your hosts, Winston, and I live on one side of the border, and my compadre over there on the other side of the border, Mr. Noé Anton.
That's me right here on the other side.
And how are you doing today?
I'm good. It's been a busy week with a lot of work. How about you?
Man, work is just consuming. It
can be
doesn't
consuming.
leave much time for game playing.
I know. I wish I had more time, but such is adult
I
life.
know, adult life. Have you played anything in the past week that you'd like to share?
Yeah, we went to visit some friends, and we were it was a second time they've ever played like modern board games. And we played On Earth, which was a pretty fun game, card game with a few dice. So yeah, we had some fun times.
Very nice, very nice. Didn't really play much myself. I don't even think I played anything. Well, I mean, I played something, but I think it was all solo by myself. Sad.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what we're talking about today. We're talking about games that our families like to play. I know that no one in my family is a board gamer. What about you? Anyone in your family, would you consider them a board gamer?
Yeah, no, not like me, of course. As the years have passed by, and I've been able to sort of like infect them, so to speak, with some of that love for board games. But it's not, they love to play with me, but not to the point where like, they get games or anything. So, yeah.
All right. Well, we have thought about some games that our families do like to play, and they will play with us. And I have 5 and maybe a 6th one. What about you?
I got 5, and one thing I would love to know from you, and I'm going to explain it first, is what was the criteria behind that?
What?
The choice, yeah.
That's a good one. The criteria, I said, well, what are games that if I said, hey, Sabrina, would you like to play something? These are ones that she would probably say yes to, or if I said, why don't you pick a game? These are the ones that she would probably choose. That's
okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Or
yours.
Pretty much.
Cool. Yeah, mine was when I was thinking about it, and we were discussing about today's topic. I my thinking was like you, sort of like games that involve my family, because I usually play with my wife and kids, or my siblings. Before the pandemic, I used to have a gaming group. Nowadays, it's pretty hard to get a gaming group together, so it's usually like your close relatives, right?
Yeah.
Because we my brother lives right next to me, and my other brother, it doesn't live like too far away, so we still see each other frequently. So my games, the games that I chose are, games that I play here with my wife and kids that they love to play, and games that I've been able to, push to my brother or my 2 brothers and their wives. So they're part of my family, so that's what I consider also as well in my my criteria.
Sure, and there's going to be some, I'll probably mention in a couple of these, because playing with my brother, since we try to play every Sunday night, have a game night for the family.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, before we get started, I do want to bring out like one that I wanted to put on the list, and it was going to be on the list, but then my wife said, hey, make sure you include this one game, and it wasn't on my list, so I have to go ahead and say what was my number 5. Roll for it. It's a very simple game that even my 6-year-old, she loved playing it. Anytime we bring it out, kids can understand it because they don't even really have to be able to count. They just have to be able to see the numbers on the dice and match it up. And I'm learning more and more that kids will play pretty much any game if they think that it's fun, and that is definitely one that I can get my nieces or nephews or even my
Yeah.
daughters to play with me. So, Roll for It is, I guess, an honorable mention. I don't like saying that. It seems like
Right. Yeah.
everyone has honorable mentions,
Everyone.
and
Yeah.
I
Everyone
don't want to
has
have
to say
honorable
that, but
mentions. I just want to stick to the list. But
like extra,
but
right?
that one was going to be in. It just kind of got kicked out because, hey, I listen to my wife. I'm a good husband. So
That. There
so
you
why
go.
don't you start with the actual list?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, these are not like in a specific order, but rather because I don't have a lot of space in here, and so they're in order of size, right? Because I can just take the small ones and then go to the bigger one. So yeah, the first one that I want to pick up is this guy, Take Five.
Take Five. I have never even heard of that. Tell me
Yeah,
about it.
so Take Five, yeah, Take Five. This game comes. Well, I think the original game was designed in Germany by Wolfgang
Okay.
Kramer, and this I think the original name is called Six Nimmt or
Oh yeah, yeah,
something.
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know any German, of course. But yeah, this game. One of the reasons why it's been a success with family and friends, but mostly like family, it has it's very very easy. It's just you just get a bunch of cards. Everyone gets the same amount of cards, and then you lay them in the table, and there's in the table a few rows, and then all you have to do is just kind of lay down from your cards. You select which one you're gonna lay down, but then there's exactly a number of cards. I think it's 100. And so what you have to do is just kind of each one of the cards has a symbol which gives you negative points, right? It's a little bull. And so your target or your objective is to be able to just as you get rid of your cards, to just put them in order, in ascending order in each one of the rows. And then it gets pretty tricky. It's very easy to teach and very simple to play, but it has depth. It's one of those pretty very simple card games that has a lot of depth and has a lot of tactics and strategy, because when you're done with the cards, there's a new round, and then you have to lay down a bunch of new cards in there. So it's constantly changing, and there's a bit of luck involved, yes, but yeah, I mean, everyone has had a blast, and in the end, because sometimes you can get rounds where you have little negative points, but there's other rounds where you get like a ton of points. And so yeah, it's been a success for everyone, for my kids, because it's pretty straightforward, and my siblings and people I've played it with.
Well, do you like the game? Because sometimes you play games, but you don't like them, but you play them because your family likes them.
Right. No, this is a great game. Okay. I don't mind playing the game quite a few times. So yeah, great game.
All right, well, my number 5. This is the one that Sabrina said you're including that one, right? And that is Ticket to Ride.
I mean, Ticket to Ride.
It's classic.
It's a classic.
It is very classic. If you haven't played Ticket to Ride, you just pick up cards. You play the cards to lay down trains on a track. You're trying to get to certain places based on what's on your tickets, and a lot of fun. Everyone I've played that with, except one person, has really enjoyed it, and I'm not going to call that person out. But yeah, people will go, "Wow, trains, what's this about?" But everyone knows what trains are. It's a theme that's pretty easy to get into. The board is pretty big, but it's pretty cool to actually put the trains down. And for most people who are maybe used to more mass market games, like, where's the dice? Well, there are no dice. You just pick up these cards, and then you play them when you need to lay down some track, and it's good. And this game is so fun that even when we were without electricity for all that time, not that long ago, we were hopping houses, and we actually played Ticket to Ride during that time. So I mean, you can play it anytime, anywhere, even if you have no electricity.
So, that's you should get kudos or some sort of promo from the creators.
Yeah. Way to go, Days of Wonder and Alan Moon.
Yeah, there
All
you
right,
go.
What about your next one?
Okay, the next one. This is one that my kids absolutely love, and I have a lot of fun playing with them and with my wife. This one is
5 minute dungeon.
5 minute dungeon. Exactly, 5 minute
I feel
dungeon.
like you were just
Um,
talking to me about this game not too long ago.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, no, this is a like its name says, literally plays in 5 minutes, and it's one of those chaotic, quick games where each one of the players represents a hero in a dungeon. You can choose. There's different player boards, and each the cool thing about the game is that even if it's very simple, each one of the different characters has a different ability, and you can select the wizard, you can select like the paladin, you can select the beastmaster. There's quite a few, and the cool thing about the game is that it's very quick, and you all of the players, it's a co-op game,
Mm-hmm.
and so all of the players are playing against the game, against a dungeon, and the dungeon is represented by a boss, so you can select like from a bunch of different boss fights, and then there's mini bosses and the minions, and right, which are represented in a bunch of cards. You have a deck of cards, and what you got to do is like literally in 5 minutes. And the cool thing about this game is that it has its own app, and the app has different
Mm-hmm.
voices, so you can select like a different voice according to your mood, and so that
Yeah.
it makes it even more
Yeah.
fun. And the app helps a lot, to make it more immersive. And so, like, you have 5 minutes, and in those 5 minutes, you gotta deal with the entire dungeon. Like, each one of the cards just comes out with a minion, and the minions have different icons, and each one of the players with its own with their own decks. Each deck has, a bunch of these cards that match the symbols. But the cool thing about the game is that it's kind of like asymmetric. So each one of the players, while all have decks, like the wizard has much more cards with akin to a certain specific symbol, and maybe the paladin is better at defeating more monsters. And so that's the cool thing, that even with that chaotic and frantic thing that you gotta lay down and quickly the cards to defeat the monsters, there's some event cards, and there's quite a bit of quick strategic thinking, even if it's chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the reasons why kids love it. My kids love, one, co-op games, and two, quick games,
Mm-hmm.
because they're not a big fan of mathy things, and so that's why it's become a family favorite, because it's really fast and it's fun, and it takes a little time. So
Yeah. Sounds great. Hey, just a
yeah.
question. You said that your kids really like co-op games. What about the rest
Yep.
of your family? Are they all into co-ops?
Yeah, they do. There's been some opportunities to play some games like Horrified, Pandemic, and yeah, they enjoy them. They enjoy them as
Yeah,
well.
my sister-in-law is not a fan of cooperatives. She wants to win by herself and just crush everyone. That's just what she wants to do. But
Yeah,
I
right.
love co-op games myself.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Uh,
Hmm.
my next one is Silver and Gold, and
Great
I love
game.
it
Great
so much.
game.
I just realized the tagline here says 100 X's, 1,000 treasures. So I don't think there's 1,000 treasures, but I wonder if I counted the X's on all of the cards, the island cards, there would be 100 of them. I wonder.
Oh,
That
okay.
doesn't sound like
Yeah.
a worthwhile task, but maybe I should just play it instead. But
Right.
in Silver and Gold, you each have two islands that you're trying to explore. There's a common deck of cards that are flipped over, and there's a certain shape that you have to mark out on one of your islands. You're trying to mark out as many islands as you can to your, discovering things,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
whoever has the most points at the end of 4 rounds is the winner. And again, this one is really good, kind of like with Roll for It, because anyone can understand. Hey, you're just marking out these shapes on your islands. And my 6-year-old loves this game. She's not
Yeah.
the best at it. Sometimes she makes really terrible decisions, but you know what? She's making those decisions on her own. She's
Yeah.
enjoying
Exactly.
herself. She can do it on her own. I love it. I've given this as a gift to my adult son and also to my brother. So when he goes on things for the military, he can take this with him in his bag, and he can play some good games with the people that he's with.
Yeah, I really like that game too. And the only reason why I didn't like bring it to to my list, because it's one of those favorites as well, is because I play like mostly with adults. Because my kids like it, but they're not too much into competitive games. And one of them does like it a little bit more than the other. The other one's just a little bit not like bothered because he gets confused about some of the little rules. And he's the youngest. So,
I can see that too, but it is a great game. It's fast. It's portable. It's just really good. So what's your next one, buddy?
So my next one, it's this one is another co-op game.
Another co-op.
And this is one also that my kids absolutely adore. And I have fun playing with them. And this is Ghost Fighting Treasure Hunters by Brian Yu from Mattel Games.
I've tried to get this one. And when I was trying to get it, I was being a cheapskate, and I was trying to find like a deal on eBay. And I was lowballing them on they're like offer a price, and I was really lowballing them like $12.75, like just trying to get like this crazy good deal. But I've heard a lot about it, but you tell the people that I've never played it. You have. You go ahead. This is your game, not mine.
Yeah, sure. So this is definitely a family game. You know. It might be a bit too easy to play with adults, or maybe a gateway game, because it's still pretty fun. But it's one that I really like to play with my kids, because the theme is it's about a bunch of literally kids. You can see even like in the art box, and you represent like kids, and it has a few minis. So you pick one of your kids, and then basically what you need to do is you have to get into a mansion, and then find different jewels. You have to pick up all of the jewels that are scattered across all of the different rooms in the mansion. And what's fun about the game is that everything is driven by a deck of cards. So depending on the deck of cards is the amount of spaces that you can move. But then there's like places where you get to fight with the ghosts. And then another aspect of the co-op game is that if you get into trouble there's a bunch of ghosts and it's pretty hard to beat them, another one of your teammates can jump into the same room and help you out, to try to defeat the monsters using a few dice, right? And so there's a bit of dice, there's a bit of luck on the cards, but it's fun. It's part of the game, There's still a bit of strategy into which one of the rooms you need to clear first, and then there's other cards where will dictate which rooms more ghosts are going to appear. And so you have to just get together and think about maybe I need to go there by myself, or maybe I'm closer to that room so that I can beat the monsters up. And so it's also pretty fast and pretty simple, and this is one of those great family games.
Not that this would ever happen, but do you think that if Nintendo decided to partner up with some board game companies, they could reskin that to like Luigi's Mansion? Because it sounds like a lot like going in there, fighting ghosts, trying to grab jewels. I think they could add some little mechanics about being really scared and trying to get these jewels to maybe pay to find Mario or something. I don't know, but I think that when I see that box and those minis, it just reminds me so much of Luigi's Mansion, which I think is an underappreciated board game.
It's
I'm not a board game, video game, but I'm a Nintendo guy, so.
Yeah, I know you are. So. And there's an expansion that we haven't played it, which adds a bit of more depth. So that's actually pretty cool. If at some point you get bored of the game, you can get the expansion. It just adds a bit of flavor.
Sure.
So.
All right. Well, my next.
What's yours?
My next one is another little card game. This is one that I play with my wife, only with my wife. We don't play with this, just the two of us. Arboretum.
Arboretum. Oh, it's a great game.
Yeah, love it. I wouldn't say it's a date night game because we don't play board games on our dates. But if it's a quiet night, the kids are being calm and maybe watching TV or whatever. We're like, hey, let's play a game. This is probably one that comes out more than just about any other. The artwork is beautiful. Um,
Yeah,
the
yeah. I
game
played it.
is, someone referred to this game as kind of like a knife fight in a phone booth. Because it is pretty cutthroat because you are wanting to have the best
Mhm.
arboretum based upon the numbers and the trees and how you score. But you are constantly every turn taking two cards and you're playing a card and you're discarding a card. And then the
Yeah.
next player, maybe you discarded that card because you couldn't have it in your hand, but you really want it for the next turn. Well, the other player can take that card from you, from your discard pile, and you're like, every time my wife does it, I'm like, no, stay away from my discard pile. Those are my trees. Um,
Yeah.
but and the fact that you can only score your trees if you still have the most value of that tree in your hand at the end of the game, man, it's like I want to play all these cards, but if I do, I know that girl's got like the 6. So if I play my 7 here, then she's gonna have a more of a value of that tree, even though I have a better arboretum than she does. And it just makes you really question and think about every single move. And I think that's
Yeah.
difficult to do in a game with, for two players. It's got like 60 cards. 60 cards.
Yeah.
That's hard to do, and it's just a great game. Really great.
Yeah, no, it's one of those games that it's surprisingly strategic and deep, even if it's just as in a small box and with a bunch of cards. Yeah, it's a great choice. It's a great
Yeah,
game.
our first, like, after the first couple, there was a string where the winner scored, like, didn't score a ton of points, maybe like 15 to 20, but the loser scored 0 points because we were
Yeah,
like, oh, you're gonna put out that tree, huh? Well, I'm gonna hoard all those cards so you can't possibly win it.
yeah.
Uh,
It can be pretty
yeah,
cutthroaty, but it's
yeah.
fun.
So what's your next one?
All right, the next one. This game is it's probably one of those in my collection that we have played the most. And I have played it most because I have played it with not only my family, but friends, and it's a gateway game. And as of now, everyone has been a huge fan. And it's one of those games because just an interesting, side note. One of the persons that usually just plays party games in my family, which is my
Mm-hmm.
sister-in-law. It's usually just mostly party games. She's just not a big fan of deep strategy or even like basic
Yeah.
strategy. um, but this has been the exception to the rule for her. She really likes this game, and so usually when we have game nights with my brother and his wife, this is one of the games that she wants to
Oh, I know
play.
what it is. I know what
And
it is because of our
yeah,
talks. You know, should I prove to everyone that I know what it is, or should I just let you reveal
yeah,
it?
sure, yeah, I'm pretty
Okay,
sure Go
it's
for it.
it's
Which
it's
one it
two
is?
words, and they both start with T. So go
Yes.
ahead.
So it's Tiny
Tiny
Towns.
Town.
Exactly.
I love this game,
Yep.
but no one wants to play it with me.
From AIG by Peter
Yeah,
McPherson. Yeah,
great
this
choice.
is a great gaming gateway game that has a lot of depth as
Hmm.
well, and has a lot of replayability. And I have the expansion. Can't remember the name of the expansion off the top of my head, but
Fortune?
adds a bunch of cards.
Is
What's
it
that?
Fortune? There's a couple.
I
There's a
think so.
couple
Yeah, I
different
think
ones
so. There's
now,
a
but
couple. There's a
okay.
couple, yeah, but it adds a bunch of cards. It adds, extra things that you can add as part of the game. Or you can remove them. But yeah, no, I mean this is a great game because it's really not too long. Like it takes about an hour, maybe hour and a half if you're playing with this full 6 players. But it's not boring, and the fact that you're just like thinking about how to build up your little town with the cubes, and then you gotta think ahead on how to earn points, and then you have to pay attention to the kind of the resources that are just coming out or players are selecting. And so yeah, this is a great gateway game, and even for experienced gamers, it's just one of those games that add some strategy without compromising or adding much
Yeah,
complexity.
for sure.
So yeah, great
The
game.
the rules are simple. The choices are difficult.
Yep.
And I'm
Exactly.
really glad that you chose that one. Honestly, I was hoping that you would choose that one. Um, yeah, I love that game, but like I said, no one wants to play it with me. Um,
I'd play it with you.
Now, on the other hand, my next game is a game that I bought for me and my gamer friends. Or I didn't think my wife would be interested in this one at all. She wouldn't like the theme. I it's kind of not a morbid theme, but not the lightest theme. She tends to like things that are
Yeah, I know which one
that are
is
full
that.
of bright and cheerfulness. And I brought it home. All right, I got it in an order, and I convinced her because I really wanted to play it. I convinced her to play it, and now we play it a lot. And that is Run Fighter Die Reloaded.
Yeah.
Um, we are not zombie fans, not at all. But I just saw reviews of this and I thought, man, it looks like something I would like because I like rolling dice. You know what? Luck's okay.
Yep.
I don't mind the luck, but
Me
because
neither.
honestly,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I feel like the luck levels out for everybody. It might seem like
Yeah.
someone's
Yeah.
just like really being lucky, but maybe the next time you play, they won't be able to roll what they want to save their life, which you need to do in this game because you're constantly having zombies coming closer and closer, and you're trying to do a couple things. Either stay alive until someone dies, because that's one way the game ends, find the town line, because that's another way the game could end, or if you completely kill the mutant zombie, which probably won't happen, especially if you have more players,
Yeah. Yeah.
because you want to deal with a mutant zombie, but you can't because all these other zombies are coming at you. Um,
Yes.
but it's just such a good, fun game. Each player has their own special abilities. So
Yeah. That's
when you
magic.
roll the dice with a zombie head on it, you're like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna have more zombies. Plus, I can't do anything with that die. But if you have so many and you have certain combinations, you get to pull off these really cool combos, these moves, and it just makes it's like, you know what? Yeah, I have to deal with some more zombies, but at least for this one turn, I got to take care. I got to do something really cool. Just a great game. Even
Yep.
it can be slow if you have more players.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I've played with 6 players, and you know what? I'd do it again. I love this game. Pretty simple to teach. There's a lot of moving parts, but um, if you think, hey, really, all I need to do right now, roll your dice, decide what you want to do. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to move our zombies forward, and we're going to add some more zombies. If you can talk people through it pretty easy. And since the mutant zombie doesn't start the game at the beginning of it, you can kind of leave that part out when you're teaching someone until it's necessary. So you can
Yeah.
kind of naturally build on the teach. So, man, I could talk about this one a lot. I really love it. I don't want to do too much because we
Yeah.
still have one more game to talk about
One more
each.
game. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what is yours, my friend?
Yeah. The last game. This is very big box, and I only brought to I just brought the expansion because combined they're too big. So and there's a reason why that I'm going to explain why I chose just the expansion, and this is it's a pretty
I
big box.
think I know this one. Yep.
Yep, this is Dice Throne, massive box.
It is massive.
And so this is a fantastic co-op expansion, and I have to clear that up because the base game, it's a dueling game. Dice Throne, the base game it's a dueling game where each player takes a character, a hero actually, but it's a character, and there's a bunch of characters. I have the season 1 and it has 8. The season 2 where it has 8 characters, and there's a bunch of other characters in the season 1. And Roxley Games just released the orders for the season 1 rerolled, which includes like the game trays, because the game is beautiful. You know, all the components are like premium quality. You got the game trays, you got the chunky, nice dice, and so yeah, I mean the quality is just top notch. It's one of the most beautiful games I probably own, and even the art is fantastic. It's phenomenal. It's really 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 cool. And the like I said, the base version of the game, it's about dueling. Each player has a character, and the mechanic is pretty simple. You use dice, a bunch of dice that represent the different abilities that you can do with your character. And so the objective of the base game is just to drop the other player to zero, right? Just defeat the other player in combat. It's technically you could potentially play with a bunch of players, like depending on the characters that you own.
Yeah.
But I think this is really more like a two-player affair.
I think so too,
because it's quicker. Yeah, and it's faster, and also it has this kind of like a push your luck mechanism where you roll the dice and then you can re-roll and you can manipulate the dice, and you have some cards that represent also your extra abilities, and you can upgrade your character with nicer abilities as you move forward in the game. So, and the expansion, which is the Dice Throne Adventures, it adds an entire module that allows you to play as a co-op party. And adds like a dungeon crawling kind of thing where you lay down like a map, and then you have to explore in the different areas of the map, and you're gonna find minions, and then you have to play together, as a team using the exact same characters from the base game. And then one thing that it's pretty fun is that you really have to work together to reach defeat all of the minions, and then open up the portals. And the portals, this is one of the cool things that I like about the game. Like the phase one, it's kind of split into two phases. The phase one, it's about finding all the portal shards and then opening up the portal. So you go all your way and defeating the minions in each one of the different areas, and these areas have different effects and events. But then once you're done with the portals, the phase two is to face a boss fight. And the boss fight has its own like game tray with the dice, and it's like another character.
Yeah.
But it's like super overpowered, right? So you really have to all work together to defeat the boss. And there's a bunch of bosses in this box. I think it's 3 or 4. So yeah, there's a ton of content in there. And I think, it lends itself to having a bunch of additional expansions and things like that. So yeah, I loved it. And my family really liked it. My oldest kid, he's 13 now. And he absolutely loved it because him and I, we played together the base game, the dueling game, and he likes it. He enjoys it. But then when we added the co-op component, it just blew his mind. Like I remember the first time we played it, it was pretty late into the game because it was the first time that we played it. But he was like super stoked, and he was already tired, visibly tired, but he wanted to play until we were done. So
yeah,
I highly recommend the game. It's pretty expensive because you will need to get the base game or at least 2 of the characters from the base game plus the expansion, but it's more than worth it. It's one that I think is going to stay in my collection for a while.
Well, you said that the bosses are overpowered. How does that work? Do you roll dice for the bosses yourself and just...
Yeah, exactly. All the other players, well, it depends on some on the boss fight and the number of players that you're playing with. But like if you're playing with 2, usually the other players throws the dice, and but yeah, usually the other players represent the boss, and they have to pick the best abilities, and there's some rules so that you can drive in how the boss is going to react. Oh, and one thing I want to mention too is that there's a few additional modes where you can play as the boss against the other players, and then you can play with the actual bosses with a boss-to-boss fight, with dueling with the actual bosses with these like ridiculous powers that they have. So, it adds some just additional flavor to the game.
Yeah, I know your love for this game has convinced me to buy some for myself, and I just this weekend I told you I bought 2 of the season 1 re-rolled packs. So
Yep.
I haven't played it yet. I watched a video of someone going through it because I can read a rule book, but I read so slow, trying to make sure I understand everything, and
Every single
and everything just gets all
rule.
like it's hard. Like I'm trying so hard to comprehend what it says,
Yeah.
I end up not really comprehending anything. So watching videos definitely helps.
Helps.
So
Yeah.
my number one for the game that my family, wants to play.
Yeah.
When I first got this game, when I first got into the hobby, like really got in the hobby last year in January, I had a list of games that I was really interested in. I really wanted. And I had a birthday in January. So do you. But my birthday,
Yeah.
I knew that my mom and my dad were probably going to be getting me an Amazon gift card so I could get whatever I want. And so I literally made a list of, okay, if they give me this much, this is what I'm going to buy. If they give me this much, this is what I'm going to buy. And I wanted to get something for one of my daughters because I want them to be into games too. And so there was this one game, and I said, you know what? It's cheap, so I'll buy that one if I don't have enough money for anything else. And turns out I didn't have enough money for anything else. I bought Deception for myself. I bought Mousetrap for my daughter. She really wanted Mousetrap. And I had just enough to buy this game. We played it, and my wife loved it. My oldest daughter loved it. Played it with my brother and his wife. They bought a copy. I played it with my son and his fiance at the time. They went back home and bought a copy. We played this game with some friends from church at a game night. They went home and bought a copy. So, if you said something earlier about Ticket to Ride paying me money, Indie Boards and Cars needs to pony up the money because Coup is definitely the one game that people in my family always want to play. I mean, so much so that there's times I don't want to play it because I'm a little burned out. I love it, and I'll play it, but I don't want to bring it every time to game night. I mean, last year I played over 100 games of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And now it's a short game once you understand the roles. The first few times it's going to take 10, 20 minutes. But after you do that, man, it's 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We've played this game while waiting for dinner to cook. It's in the oven. We just, we played this game. Something's going on over here. We got a little time to waste. Let's bring out Coup. Let's see if we can get a couple hands in. I mean, there's only 5 rolls. There's 3 cards of each roll. You're trying to bluff your way into being the last person standing, assassinating people, performing coups, stealing from other players, and all the while, you may not be who you say you are. And it's just really great. And I hope that and my family always loves this game. And I wonder how many more people I can get to buy it.
You can try to set some sort of record.
So that's it. I mean, that's by far the game I've played the most, and it's by far the one that for a while my sister-in-law would be like, "Did you bring Coup? Did you bring Coup?" So then she bought
Yes, it's here.
Yeah. So she bought the bigger one, the Rebellion, which has like a lot of different roles that you can intermix, and then I bought her the actual game for her birthday, and so I mean they play. She always wants to play that one, and then our friends from church, they've even played just the 2-player version, which I've never tried that myself, but it's a great game. It's really cheap.
Yeah, definitely.
Really cheap. So if you're out there and you're like, man, I really want a game that my family will probably enjoy, that's not too long, simple rules, Coup would be a great choice.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree.
Great choice. Man, I loved your 5. I'm really interested in the ghost fighting treasure hunters. I think it's kind of like a ghost themed kid pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And like I said, I haven't played Dice Throne yet, And you're right, the production quality is out of this world. With the
Yeah.
boards that even the boards fold up so that you still can see the character,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they
It's
thought about
awesome.
so much. It's really great. But
Yeah.
that's all the time we have. And anything else you would like to say before we sign off?
No, no, just if you're watching this and you would like to tell us which ones are some games that you think our families would like, or anything that you'd like to play with your families, that would
Yeah,
be great.
yeah. Tell us what games you play with your families. What are the games that
Yep.
your family that you don't mind asking if they want to play this game because you know they'll probably say yes instead of oh not a game, not another game. What games? What games will your family gladly play
Yeah.
with you? Really interested to hear that. And if you want to hear more from us, just make sure that you subscribe and just follow us. We want to talk to you guys. We want to talk some
Yep.
board games, have some fun. Until next time, have a great one.
Have a great one. Thank
And
you.
bye, dude.
Bye.